Hey guys, your Bear Boy host Hito here today with another episode of the Retrogade, and here I am. Hopefully, please let this be the correct one. Yes, awesome. Hey guys, your Bear Boy host Hito here yet again. Today we are doing another Retrogade episode, and honestly, I am excited to talk about Rareware a little bit. To me, it seems like sometimes people forget about Rareware and what it used to be and all the other good stuff. But today we're going to talk about it, remind you. And you know what? We're going to drop the retro bomb on this one too, okay? So, let's start our podcast right now, and let's introduce our first guest. First, I'm going to undeafen. Our first guest is Mantle Ferox, which if I could just get this cam on. There we go. Hello, Mantle.
How's it going?
All right. Introduce yourself to the cave crew.
Absolutely. Well, hi there, everyone. I am Mantle. I'm a marine biologist and a gamer, and tonight I am a nostalgic gaming fan of the 90s, where we are going to be talking about Rare. I'm same as Hito. I met Hito a lot thanks to amazing Nintendo games, both modern and retro, and yeah, we share a lot of those same games. So I'm similar to Hito. I'm a variety caster. There's a joke that I'm a Zelda caster for some reason, but yeah, definitely enjoy playing all sorts of amazing stuff and sharing those adventures with everyone on Twitch.
Awesome. And let's go on to our second guest as well. So we have Shad, which camera's working now. There we go.
Hey.
Hey. How's it going?
Going good. I'm Chad. I'm a variety streamer as well. I met Hito through. I'm a member of the Digital Bonfire, and we've interacted in various multi-streams and just other casual times. I also was in one of his D&D one-shots on the stream. I, like I said, a variety streamer. I kind of do a little of everything. I'm currently going through a Majora's Mask randomizer, Monster Hunter, and the Zero Escape games. And yeah, I also, outside of stream, I'm a librarian. So, yeah. But once again, tonight I'm a Rare fan, which I always am. Banjo-Kazooie is one of my favorites.
It's obvious Banjo is one of my favorites as well.
I'm a Rare fan prior to 2002.
Do people make the Dewey Decimal joke all the time?
Not much. We don't even actually really use the Dewey Decimal System.
I think there's only one university that still uses that, and they're very out of date a lot of things.
Yeah, we use the Library of Congress for most stuff.
Well, it's good to see you guys. Today we're going to discuss some Rare. We're going to talk about some cool things that we enjoyed. So, we're going to start with the very first obvious question. What were some of your favorite Rare IPs?
Considering that I'm a huge Nintendo fan and that the N64 is one of my top 3 favorite consoles of all time, there's a whole list of that. I love the entire Donkey Kong Country series and Donkey Kong 64. Love GoldenEye 007. Love the original Perfect Dark. Yeah, and then any of the Diddy Kong as well as Banjo-Kazooie stuff is always just fantastic. Jet Force Gemini, I actually still need to finish that game, but yeah, just give me anything from Star Fox Adventures and earlier, and I love it.
Hey, I mean, listen, I like to still talk about Star Fox. Oh, trust me, I'm going to go into Star Fox Adventures today. Not in the bad way, but a good way.
Oh, yeah, no, it is an amazing game and massively underrated.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd be happy to discuss that. As for me, similarly, that's around the time period of my experience with Rare mostly. I started with the Donkey Kong Country games. They're some of my favorites. I replay the trilogy every couple of years. Donkey Kong 64, loved it. Diddy Kong Racing, one of my biggest memories, just in general, the Nintendo 64. And then of course Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. Those are huge for me. I was so excited when I saw this characters return to Smash. They were
yes.
They were on my most wanted list right at the top. They were number 2 after Sora.
Let's not forget the reaction that Mike made the second that Banjo was announced.
Yeah. And also, Star Fox Adventures, it's honestly my favorite Star Fox game. I know a lot of Star Fox fans probably don't like that opinion, but
It's
like
way up there for me. So rest assured, you're in good company, friend.
You put Zelda
it's
in my
essentially
Star Fox. You put Star
it's
Fox in my
essentially
Zelda.
it's essentially a Zelda game starring Star Fox characters
Yes.
made by Rare.
Yes,
It's just
exactly.
like-
Like three things you love all in one, and dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah, that's just the cherry on top.
Jurassic
I
Park.
mean, it's basically the
Star
perfect
Fox.
'90s kid game.
All
Yeah.
right, so here's a few that I actually bring up sometimes too when it comes to Rareware. Killer Instinct being one. They made a
Oh,
really...
why did I forget that?
They made
Yes.
they made a really people forget that Rareware made a really good fighting game. Killer Instinct.
Well, because I was so excited to chat about these other games, yeah, Killer Instinct is definitely up there. Killer Instinct Gold is legit my favorite fighting game outside of Super Smash Brothers anything. And I'll have to share this with you later, Hito. I was doing a charity stream last year. Killer Instinct Gold was part of that. And I did a blindfolded victory against Tusk on Master Mode and didn't tell anyone it was Master Mode.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, Killer Instinct Gold, I love it. I'm a Saber Wolf main. Love both, because the third one doesn't exist. I love the two original Killer Instincts, and especially Gold.
But especially
Second game I got from my N64.
the next one that I also want to talk about is another good beat 'em up, which is Battletoads. People
Yes,
like
classic.
Battletoads is another good one where people were just like, "Ooh, I didn't know that was Rare." I'm like,
Mhm.
it's actually a Rare game for the SNES.
Yes.
Enjoy.
That's on my list of games that I want to play is
Yes, yes.
Battletoads. I haven't gotten around to it.
Now
Yeah.
a favorite that was brought to my attention was Jet Force Gemini, but but that was brought up by Waffles. Stolen Waffles is actually the one who reminded me of Jet Force Gemini, which I did not remember for the longest until things were said.
I got that game the Christmas. Thank you so much. I got that game the Christmas it came out. I'll be honest though, I was just having so much fun with the game. I kept getting turned around in the first level, and then I kept jumping back and forth between games, and then finally picked it up some years after that, started making more progress, and then life got the better of me. So it's gonna finally get finished at some point. I mean, what is a backlog if not for growing and playing?
Exactly. Which
Yeah.
BTW? That's one of the J games chosen for the Alphabet Challenge after I is done. So if you want me to play Jet Force Gemini, you know where to vote. But that's a really good Jet Force Gemini was another good game. And then you brought up Perfect Dark, and I'm just like, yes.
To me, there are some things that I prefer about GoldenEye 007, but let's face it, from a gameplay standpoint and also just from a technical standpoint, Perfect Dark was superior in every sense of the word. And it's like, I love GoldenEye. How can it get better? Oh, it did. So yeah, I invested a lot of hours in both GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. A lot of very happy hours.
And then also we got to bring up Conquer.
Yes, I followed that game when it was still Conquer 64. Full disclosure, though, while I know that Conquer's Bad Fur Day is an amazing game, I lost interest in it once they started going that route.
Yeah. Conquer is one that's on my list of games to get to as well. I've played some of the multiplayer mode of Bad Fur Day. And I also am familiar with the Great and Mighty Pooh. But
the Great Mighty Pooh is important.
That's about my how far I've been exposed to it, but it being rare and it being a kind of, I believe it's like a collectathon style game.
Yep.
It is.
That's still, it's up my alley, so I really want to get around it eventually.
It's
one of those, yeah. I might eventually get around to it. Most of my Conquer experience really does come from Diddy Kong Racing, actually, because it still cracks me. It's like, oh yeah, he's about to come out in a game. But for those who don't know, I actually have every single issue of Nintendo Power. So I remember reading through all the old Conquer 64 articles, and then as it shifted, I'm sure Bad Fur Day is an awesome game. I just lost interest from what it was originally.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the most interesting stories in terms of games. The way
also Sunflower
the series
TNA.
started E-rated.
And graphically, as well, all the just controller graphic enhancements they did by the time that game came around, no matter how you feel about the humor, it's an incredible game. I will readily admit that, especially for the technology at the time.
Sunflower TNA. You can't get mad about that.
True.
I've been using the word TNA a lot after today. We blame Metal Gear Solid 3 for this because Eva, when you first meet her, just first thing just flashed in my face. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. This is gonna be you're gonna be the tease of the game. Got it. Understood. We understand it. We stand by it. Cool. Anyway, so what are some rare moments that you enjoyed?
After you, Shad.
I mean, honestly, the biggest one is Donkey Kong 64. Like, that was around the time when I first started to become aware of games before they released, like gaming magazines and stuff, following them, getting excited for game releases. And I remember getting that game for Christmas that year, super excited. I put so many hours, not in just the story mode, but playing like the multiplayer mode with friends, just going around with our little fruit guns and stuff and hitting each other. But Diddy Kong Racing is also just very much up there. It was a game I didn't actually beat until adulthood because it gets so hard later on. But like, just that was so many hours. That was probably my most played multiplayer game on the Nintendo 64 was Diddy Kong Racing.
To quote a friend of ours, I will never do Donkey Kong 64 again in my life. It will not be streamed ever. Never, not a single moment. Okay, it will not see the light of day.
Hey, I'm trying to get him to. Okay, yeah.
For me, I've got plenty. I can honestly pick one from pretty much any game I've got. I think one of my favorite memories that was the first time I opened up, like plugged in and turned on Donkey Kong Country itself. Because again, I'd been following this in Nintendo Power, but to be able to see those graphics back in 1994 on a Super Nintendo was just, I wouldn't say it's mind-blowing because there's more things it could be, but it was just still absolutely incredible and phenomenal. I've always loved platformers, so just being able to jump in with this and play through that was so. And then tapering into that, one of my best memories was beating King K. Rool for the first time. And another memory, if we're going to keep on with Donkey Kong, let's go to Donkey Kong Country 2. Love that game. I know all of us enjoy and love the track Sticker Bush Symphony. It's featured first in a Bramble Blast and then Bramble Scramble. Funny thing, that song actually gave me so much like mental turmoil for a while because those levels were such a damn headache. Because it's like, I love this music, these levels. Now, Bramble Blast was one thing, but then Scramble, where you're not even in the barrels, it took me so long to beat that level as a kid. When I finally did, I was so happy. I was so happy. So, I mean, they're not hard. They're just, as you guys remember, they're just so precise.
Yep.
Yeah, and 2 especially, the like ending stages were incredibly precise.
They were. So full disclosure, even though I have nothing to prove, I've beaten that stage and that game a number of times on my Super Nintendo. Whenever I'm using like the Switch Online service, I was like, nope, I've already done my time, so I will readily enjoy the rewind feature. Just to have, because like to me, it's a fun way to re-enjoy the game. And then we're jumping to the N64. Actually got more into James Bond in general thanks to GoldenEye 007. That was like really my biggest foray into first-person shooters. Had a lot of fun with that, both on my own with the codes and then also multiplayer. My little sister and two of our neighborhood friends, because they knew I was so good at the game, they decided to 3v1 challenge me. The final count was, kill count was 42-3. I killed them a combined 42 times and they managed to get me 3 total.
We'll get you next time.
So what you're saying is it was close.
No, it was an odd job wasn't allowed. I was like, no, we're just gonna play as whoever. But no, it was a lot of fun. And then Perfect Dark, just the voice acting as well as that, and just they seeing the levels expand, and then Killer Instinct being able to like fully beat these characters in these levels that I'd seen in the magazines for Killer Instinct 2, and now it's the home version. I mean, I could go on all day about every single one of these, but it's just...
Yeah, like, that was up-and-coming voice acting in any type of gameplay ever, because, like...
Yeah.
It was great. It was a big step up from, whoo, ha, woohoo.
Yeah, no, and some of my favorite music to this day is the Killer Instinct Gold soundtrack. Like, I ever want to feel like a badass while I'm working on something, either at work or even when I'm tidying up at home, I'll just pop on the Killer Instinct Gold's music.
That moment where you take a potato chip and eat it to that song, and there you go. Now it's 10 times better.
So good. But no, I don't know, they did so much great stuff back in the day, and again, I'm not trying to like just ramble on about it, but to me that just shows like what a nostalgic impact they have and what great stuff they did with a great company back in the day.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rare was like pretty much the king of the Nintendo 64. Like, I think they had quality titles out on there more consistently than Nintendo themselves.
I would say that personally, I feel that they were like neck and neck with it, especially once you include the likes of like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and then also you add in Star Fox and Super Mario 64. Don't get me wrong, as much as I love Mario Kart 64, I will readily admit that Diddy Kong Racing was the superior racing title on the 64. I mean, Hovercrafts alone.
Diddy Kong Racing might be my favorite racing game of all time still. So
I mean, valid. I actually picked up the 3DS copy of it some years later, and I agree.
No, that was a really bad version.
It was, and something a lot of y'all might not know about this. Might not know this about me. I am a massive collector. The wall is just a slight indication of that. I have all my video games behind here, but I very rarely return games. Rare, the pun was unintentional, but we'll take it. I finished this and sold it back. I'm like, no, this is not the game I remember. No.
Yeah, that's very much warranted.
No, I've never sold a game in my life. I still have all my games that weren't stolen from me, but at the end of the day, it's still good.
Let's put it this way. I've kept my copies of Michael Jordan in the Windy City, Shaq Fu, and Superman 64, but I returned Diddy Kong Racing 3D.
Oh, no.
And we still have a copy of E.T. at home, because my dad had that before I was born.
I'll do it. Hey, yo. But at the end of it all, I think one of the best things that I can always remember is always the soundtracks to these games. These were elusive soundtracks in the games, which I can't wait to go over the episode for video game music sometime in July, but like, give you a little sneak peek. Rareware had some beautiful, beautiful sound, and honestly, to this day, it extends not just like from the SNES, but it also goes even further into the N64. Like, I like Banjo's soundtrack because legitimately it symbolizes the whole game as you go along. Like, each one worked for each of the spots that you went into. Same with Donkey Kong Country, same with Jet Force Gemini. Even Conker's Bad Fur, they had literally it was the same song, but in different stylings as you go to different areas. Like, it makes you think how well a score for Rareware is compared to some of the other Nintendo titles where you'll be like, I don't think this song really matches the ambiance of where we're going from, but it sounds kick-ass.
See, I've always got that. I get what you're saying, but I always get that ambiance. But then I don't know. That's just me. But I get that wholeheartedly, because I actually finally did finish a playthrough and a replay of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, and even though that was retro, not rare, the way that they reworked those classic David Wise themes, I was spending half my playthrough just geeking out over the music all over again.
Oh no, of course. The remakes are definitely great.
And it's such incredible music. And, I actually have been at MagFest when David Wise was there. Didn't get to see him, unfortunately, but that was so cool. It was Donkey Kong themed that year.
David Wise, Grant Kirkhope, they're both some of my favorite game composers.
They're
and like it's amazing how iconic, especially Grant Kirkhope, his music is so iconic. You can know for instantly if he composed a game.
Absolutely.
And yet it's so varied. It can fit so many types of games, so many like environments, and he will like Freeze Easy Peak and Gobi Desert sound entirely different, yet very much identifiably the same composer.
Absolutely. Grant Kirkhope is just absolutely fantastic, and I feel that in some ways he's the other side of the coin of Koji Kondo, who is very much my favorite composer, both for video games and in general, because Grant Kirkhope, you instantly know his music anywhere. Koji Kondo, here's the thing. he has very awesome and very incredible and very recognizable music, but his music flows so well that whenever someone else steps in, you're able to figure out. You actually it'll take you. Sorry, the music suddenly got me there. You're whenever again, Grant Kirkhope, you know his music instantly. Koji Kondo's, you recognize his, but sometimes whenever another composer steps in, you have to stop and research to make sure. Wait a minute. They're following his footsteps. This wasn't him. Big example for that would be Legend of Zelda 2, Adventure of Link. Everyone knows that's amazing music, and no matter how anyone feels about the game, let's face it, the palace theme, it's one of the temple theme is like one of the most iconic themes of all gaming. That wasn't Koji Kondo. That was Akito Nakatsuka, and it's like. Yeah, because it was funny when I was going out with my ex, they were so convinced it was Koji Kondo. I'm like, no, that's Akito. They're like, no. And I pulled it up. It's like, don't argue Zelda with me.
I didn't even know that, and Zelda 2 is one of my favorite games.
Yeah, Akito Nakatsuka. And he's done some awesome stuff. But yeah, that's the cool thing with Koji Kondo is like the later games, everything with him, he still has some supervisory role, but he's been letting newer composers step in and really spread their wings. Like Spirit Tracks, really amazing game, underrated, but has incredible music. He was not the primary on that. Same with Breath of the Wild. So
yeah,
Kirkhope's even I had to take a moment.
Kirkhope's even doing great stuff now. Like Kirkhope, Mario Rabbids, regardless how you feel about that game, that soundtrack is beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I wasn't sure about it because, full disclosure, I'm not a huge fan of the design of the rabbits, but the gameplay just looks so fun, and then the game was on a massive sale, and I'm like, I'm gonna give it a chance. I've bought it, I have not played it yet. That's coming up at some point.
I recommend it. I don't like Rabbids. I don't like them as a franchise. I don't like them as characters. I loved that game.
Yeah, that's part of what I've been hearing. It's like, I'm gonna do it. And I got it. I got it for like 50% off too, so even better.
They literally remind me of like Despicable Me Minions, but chaotic, just doing their own thing and doing all kinds of crazy nonsense in the game.
I can still handle them better than Minions, though. I can still handle them better than Minions.
Yeah,
I mean, the issue with both of them for me is just they're not good standalone. They're fine as like side characters in something else.
Valid.
Yeah, like legitimately, I had to put on some of that music because you know what? We gotta like cherish some of the soundtracks that we had before when it came to these things. Like Aquatic Ambience is another one that goes into play, and I'm pretty sure, Mantle, this should sound very familiar since you just finished Tropical Freeze, and it's a good reminder.
Oh, it does. And that's part of why I figured that, especially with my profession, it was even more appropriate to start with Aquatic Ambience.
I was like, this is perfect. Like,
For anyone who's coming in new, I am a marine biologist, so this song for me and underwater levels, they're just their love. I will always hold that underwater levels get all the flack that ice levels deserve.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes people mix up ice levels and water levels, like, oh no, but I don't like the slippery controls, but I don't like the weight of things. Ice levels are just water levels, only solid. And I'm like, no, stop.
The thing is that the levels are great, just sometimes the way that physics apply in the game don't always translate to the controller.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes to whether the designers are good at making water levels. That takes a different type of skill. Rare, like with Donkey Kong Country games, all the water levels are solid.
Yeah. Absolutely. And even though I have a slight preference for the water levels back in the original trilogy days, where you didn't have to worry about an air meter, even once you got to Returns and Tropical Freeze with Retro, where you had to occasionally get bubbles to keep your air going, they were still brilliantly controlled. It's like they had so much control improvement, you didn't worry about, oh no, what about this? But no, the underwater levels in the first 3 Donkey Kong Country games were so much fun, some of my favorites ever.
Yeah. So along with just like the musical scoring, what are some other things in Rareware that you can always remember right off the bat? What makes a Rareware game? I think this is a very important question, because like when you think about like what makes a Rareware game, what makes it that memorable game that we still can go back to these days, and the thing that we miss about Rareware at the end of the day as well.
Man.
I think they have a lot of a very certain type of charm. Granted, I didn't go heavily into like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, But like for me, my biggest association of Rare is like big cartoon eyes, and just you want to interact with everything. You love everything in the universe. Everything feels alive, not just the characters, but like everything kind of feels alive. And it kind of is this childhood wonder when I play Rare games that it just makes me feel like a kid again. Like I don't really know what to expect. It's just all, the world's colorful and alive.
Honestly, sorry, not just whapping with his tail. It's tough to describe, because it's one of those things where it's like, it's gonna sound cheesy, but the best way I can describe how I know it's a Rare game is when I turn it on and I see that spinning logo.
You mean like this one right here?
I mean like the one that's right below me and above Shad. Yes, I do mean that one. It's it sounds silly, but it's one of those. One of the best analogies I ever read, and frankly I agree with, is that at least when Rare was still with Nintendo, before they were completely ruined, they were basically the Pixar of Nintendo back in the day, where they were their own studio, but they had their own charm. And here's the thing, I'm a huge Pixar nut. I enjoy Disney too, but I'll be the first to argue, nope, that's Pixar, because they're two different things. It's the same as like, you see the Disney logo, hey, that's awesome. Then you see Luxo Jr. bouncing and it's Pixar, it's like, yes, this is about to be extra cool. Same with this, you see Nintendo, and then you see that spinning Rare logo with the music, and it's about to be doubly awesome. I guess the best way I can really describe it, Shadow, that was Nudge. The best way I can describe it is it's just charm. It's not to say that, it's like, to me, it's like any of the other games, like any other third-party game or any first-party Nintendo game. They all absolutely had heart, but there was just that certain Rare charm they had. They had stellar gameplay and just that added quirkiness where, again, with the whole Pixar effect of you knew things were going to work out, but you had no idea how. But you knew it wasn't necessarily going to be as expected.
Yeah, and I want to springboard and say that, like, once Microsoft acquired them, they really didn't seem to have that charm anymore in a lot of their games.
I mean,
the first couple games there, after they acquired, they kind of, like, Viva Pinata still kind of felt like the life of old Rare.
Mm-hmm.
But like it really quickly started to fade, and I think that's a lot just because of management. But
absolutely, and management's the big thing with it. And not to like get too far into the downfall too early, but I do want to touch on something that my good friend Shadow has. And for my friend Shadow, who's just popped in chat, she's been a friend of mine since 2008. And funny that we even mentioned Pixar, because I met her thanks to Pixar. Rare absolutely was starting to fail on there, and that's part of why Nintendo did not provide them with more capital or purchase their remaining stake, because while they knew what they were capable of, they saw that they were starting to falter from that. So they didn't see as much value in it. Because it's like they kept doing this thing, but they weren't keeping up with it. And that's when the bidding war happened. And Rare was really interested in what Activision was offering, but Microsoft offered more money. But more than 30 people left when they did that. So it's basically, it's an even more insidious case of like Harvest Moon and now Story of Seasons, where even with the Harvest Moon game still coming out, that's just the name only. It's a shell of what it used to be.
Yeah.
But I think one of the best quotes I read previously about it, again, Rare was falling on their own, and Nintendo, they're not perfect. They're a company. No company is perfect. Yeah. Maybe they should have bought Rare and helped fix them up. But Rare was already failing on their own. Microsoft just killed them after that. So it's like Rare's faltering. And then Microsoft did it. But I would say the quote, Microsoft and Rare was a bad marriage from the beginning. The groom was rich, the bride was beautiful, but they wanted to make different games and they wanted to make them in different ways. By the way, that was by Martin Hollis, who was a former Rare game director. So
ouch.
Rare could have possibly recovered if it wasn't for Microsoft. But Microsoft was kind of the nail in the coffin.
Mm-hmm. They literally could have, like, if Nintendo bought it, I could have honestly seen a bigger, like, change. And honestly, we would have seen more Conker, more Banjo, more Donkey Kong would have been more prominent in Nintendo, honestly. Like,
absolutely.
Nintendo, I mean, like, here's the thing, like, Nintendo managed to save their big boy Donkey Kong, funny enough, and Diddy while they were at it too. But everyone else kind of just disappeared. Mm-hmm. A rare resurgence, as one might say.
I mean, true. Now, one of the biggest things with it was that really nice melee people. Nah, I personally feel that if Nintendo had bought them after that bidding war, they would have been able to do great things. Maybe not as great as they had been, but at least still, hey, Rare's a seal of quality. And even if Activision had bought them, I think they would have still done okay, at least better than what they became. And sorry, Shad, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I don't remember what I was going to say. It's fine. But yeah, I basically agree there. I miss some of the characters that kind of disappeared with them, like K. Rool. We got it in Smash, and that's great, a huge win. But like, I don't know if he's ever going to be in a mainline game again. And I miss him. I miss a lot of the characters Rare made that kind of fell to the wayside once they disappeared. That Nintendo probably has the rights to, but
yeah, it's one of those things where honestly, at this point, it's just gonna be a matter of time to wait for those rights to dry up and hope that Microsoft doesn't get their grubby hands on them. But the it's funny that you mentioned that with K. Rool, because with me recently playing and replaying Tropical Freeze, one of my viewers was mentioning that for a third retro game in that hopeful trilogy, that it would be cool to see the Tiki Tribe, the Snowmads, and the Kremlings all team up for a third game. And I'm like, I would like that.
Yeah. Friend streamer of ours, Shell Shock Prime, he's actually
I love Shell Shock. He's a good guy.
He's had that opinion a few times. He said that he'd love to see the Kremlings kind of be the ones that were in charge of the other two in a hypothetical trilogy.
I think he might have actually been the one that mentioned that in my stream campaign. And hilariously enough, just to show everyone like how close knit the retro community is on Twitch, I met Shell Shock before I met either Hito or Shad, and I met him via a different community.
Yeah, I met Shell before I met you two. Shell introduced me to Hito more or less, and then now we met.
Yeah,
awesome.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of those villains, I was not a big fan of the Tikis. The Vikings, they were interesting. They were no Kremlings, but they were interesting.
I loved the Snowmads personally. I mean, I still prefer the Kremlings, not just out of nostalgia, but I like some of their variants. And I like being able to have that classic mammals versus reptiles thing. Yeah. But I did really love the Snowmads. They were pretty fun.
Speaking of which, we're going to now dive into some nostalgia. You ready for this?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Let's unlock the secret bubble that hides the internet box. Link. Okay, so I was denied. That's cool. There we go. Now we weren't denied anymore. Perfect. So we're going to look at some old commercials that Rareware actually has done for their games in the US. We ready to see one for Diddy Kong Racing? This one's gonna jolly a tingle in Maple right now because it's Diddy Kong Racing.
I'm sure I'm gonna remember it here.
I mean, like, if this thing would just work properly. There we go.
Oh my gosh, this one!
This ain't just drag racing. This is Diddy Kong Racing. The rough riding, balloon grabbing, coin snatching, boss beating, rumble pack ready, racing adventure that's definitely off track. For 1 to 4 players, only on N64.
Never get out.
Never get out. Like, Diddy Kong had his own IP. This is where it goes. Here's another one.
There are 5 perpetrators. I've never seen anything like it. There's fruit everywhere. Look what they did to my taxi.
Donkey Kong is back in an adventure so big, it's taking the country by storm.
In reaction, the governor has called in additional troops.
We believe one of them looks like this.
They're just not civilized.
We urge caution, and they are heavily armed with fruit.
And then there's Chunky.
I'd like to tell you the situation is under control, but it isn't.
This turbocharged game has better graphics, more moves, bigger bosses, huge worlds.
Bigger bosses, specifically.
Expansion pack to get it all in.
I remember this commercial too.
Same.
And now, this.
Yes!
64, and you thought insanity was crazy.
Heaven help us all.
Classic.
Our next one is a Banjo-Tooie commercial.
Heck!
Parachute! That's a backpack! Don't worry.
Banjo and Banjo-Kazooie have disconnected, now working individually and as a team to tackle their biggest adventure yet. Banjo-Tooie, rated E for everyone. Just remember, bears still need a bird to fly.
He's okay. He's okay.
He is.
And now the original commercial for Banjo-Kazooie.
It's after
Yes.
It's big. It's got huge teeth, a big beak, bulgy eyes, feathers, fur everywhere.
Yeah, and pigs can fly.
No bears can fly. Bad guys beware. Here comes Banjo-Kazooie. We're your both bird and bear with amazing powers. There's never been anything like this head-banging, sky-flying, rock-hopping, egg-shooting, tag-teaming duo. Banjo-Kazooie, only for Nintendo.
There you go.
So classic. So classic.
This was also another commercial, because technically speaking, Rare had a hand in the Mickey Mouse, racing game.
They did.
I didn't even know that one.
This is one that I never had any interest in playing, but it always seemed interesting. Like, it's like, you know those games that you respect, you just don't feel like playing yourself?
Yeah. What do we got next? These are all the Mickey Speedway USA stuff from Rare.
Check. Tires? Check. Helmet.
Check.
Helmet. Check.
Okay, aerodynamic he's not, but he sure can make some tracks. Mickey Speedway USA, 16 magical tracks, 4-player action.
It was underrated.
Mickey, Donald, and the whole Disney crew.
Goofy. Check.
Check.
Rated E for everyone.
But yeah, that was like another one that happened in.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Alright, let's skip this one. Let's go to the next one. We have the Donkey Kong Country Game Boy Color games.
Yes.
Ooh.
Here we go. Oh. This made us want to buy the game. Just remember all of the good times. I miss Rambi. Every now and then I miss Rambi.
Rambi's so amazing.
I miss most of the animal partners.
You need On Guard again. Those look scares the crap out of me. We got a whole collection of Banjo-Kazooie commercials.
I even miss Squitter, and I hate spiders.
Squitter was the acceptable spider.
Squitter was amazing.
Well, at least we have that little warning.
What?
We saw this commercial earlier, but it's always a good thing to see again.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and pigs can fly.
Beauty and the Beast theme, probably.
And the Pigs Can Fly is actually a funny callback to the Donkey Kong Land games where there were flying pig enemies.
Yeah, there was. I remember those.
That was even part of the marketing on Nintendo Power. Was these graphics on the Game Boy when pigs fly?
We got the Japanese commercial to Banjo-Kazooie.
Yes! Bankazu.
Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah, these commercials are super radical. Yep. Look at them graphics. They're so cool that they're blurry as hell. We blame the old one. This. I still find this funny. Listen,
It was honestly my favorite Banjo commercial.
For Banjo-Tooie, it's just great.
Now working individually and as a team to tackle their biggest adventure yet. Banjo-Tooie.
I actually have to play Banjo-Tooie on stream because we beat Kazooie 2 years ago. And everybody's waiting for me to play the bear game again.
Man, I hope it makes it to Switch Online.
God, that'd
If
be
it
so
does,
amazing.
I'll probably do it quicker.
Valid.
I played it on the original N64, and oh my god, my brain hurts. Everyone's like, is Banjo abusing the bird? I'm like, no, the bird is the weapon. Deal with it.
To be fair, the bird abuses him.
That is also fair, mentally and physically. Let's be fair now, you know it's true.
They're an amazing duo and we love them.
That bird is, listen, Kazooie is the smartass in the group. Oh, here we go. Remember when they destroyed the series in one go?
Why is this even in this montage? This is just, it was great until this.
That, like, legitimately, because it's all Banjo commercials.
This isn't Banjo, this is a travesty.
I still will hold the opinion that that's not a Nuts and Bolts isn't a bad game, it's a bad Banjo game.
It's a bad Banjo
Valid.
game. If it was another RPG...
I like the gameplay, I hated that was what Banjo became.
Banjo should have never became that, ever. Like, what are you doing, games?
If they just used a new IP, it would have been so much better.
Right?
Absolutely.
Oh, and then there was a promotion tape for Banjo-Kazooie.
I have that tape at home. I have that tape.
But I'm gonna skip over because it's 11 minutes. Like, it's a very long one.
But it was a darn good VHS.
But here's the one for Conker's Bad Fur Day. The following is not for anyone under age 17.
Partying last night.
This looks like Kesha from like the 90s.
Dude, we got in the bar and started pissing all over these freaking bikers.
It's Kesha from the 90s, guys.
In a fight, and we get back here and it goes all night. This place is completely trashed.
What is happening?
I was paying for it now.
Oh my god.
A hangover's never pretty. But a squirrel with a hangover, that's just obscene.
It's nuts, but...
Oh my god.
Dead for a day.
This was the game, guys.
Sure.
Yeah, you like that, baby? Yeah, I know you.
That's not rated M. That's commercial lies.
No, you love that.
He's just rubbing his belly. It's fine. It's okay.
Is it though?
It's just a belly rub. It wasn't what you thought it was. Oh, here we go. The original trailer for the game. You know, when we actually got trailers now instead of these crazy commercials.
Ow. Somebody hit me on the head. What am I? What's this doing on my head? Oh, hi guys. Was somebody telling me what's going on here? Okay, 30 seconds. Nice
So
knowing
what?
you guys.
What? That's that moment when you wake up and you were hoping you didn't hear that. Oh. This game got very gory, which is funny enough for a Rare game. It's cartoon gore. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the gore in this game was ridiculous.
For sure.
Yeah, it's crazy how the most graphic game of Rare was not the one with, like, the realistic FPS, but the one with the cartoon squirrel.
Oh. Yep, there you go. Just raining tripas everywhere. And the mouse was still alive just for a little second. You know what was really funny? The whole concept of the game was that the king just wanted a squirrel to hold up his chair leg. And it went from there to like, wait, you need a squirrel to hold up your chair leg?
You have to say though, that's still a very Rare like plot.
It is.
Ain't got a neck. This was prime stuff. Even the bees scared the... I've made the joke. I don't like bees in any game whatsoever anymore because I'm always targeted by them in some way.
Bees! Oh my.
Don't show him, please. We don't want to see that on there you go. He has a big bone. Yes, he does. We get it. Yep, there he is. There's the
humorous.
There's the few. Oh man. I'm not gonna lie though, the innuendos were great. Were on par with this game.
Honestly, if I ever do play it, I'm glad I would be older to do it because I was so innocent-minded when it was first coming out. I wouldn't have gotten half of them.
Yeah, I think it probably would have scarred me a little.
I would have just been like, I don't get it, and then years later, oh, that's what the game was talking about.
Greg, the Grim Reaper. Don't laugh. Now,
Greg.
let's see. Ah, yes. Conquer.
Just shot in battle. Just this game was ferocious. I never got a chance to beat it. But if Nintendo needs an M-rated mature game in their NSO, this would be the one.
You mean an AO game?
This would be the one.
I don't think they're going to do anything about T in the app.
Yeah, and again, this was not M, it's AO.
Teddy's.
It was marketed as M, but then it came out and they're like, nope, AO. Because I always just remember reading about AO and then Conker's Bad Fur Day came out and it's just, oh, that rating does exist.
Rarely. Pun not intended.
Wait, I'm pretty sure it was rated M though.
I'm gonna double check that. Like,
No, I thought it was M, but
I thought it was AO, but let's double check just because I'm curious.
Not all squirrels are born equal. Conquers Bad Fur Day.
This was the game, guys. Like, listen, I wasn't allowed to have this game, but I was able to watch my whole entire friend do something crazy with it. We don't need to see another one. We already know how good Conker's Bad Fur Day was. Good. I said it.
Hey, Maestro.
Okay, here's what it was. It is rated M
Can you give me
because
a bit more of a beat?
I've got it here for us. For Conker's Peen attack, only the back of him was animated without his front completed. This is because if the front had Conker Peen and was animated to see it would have given the game an AO.
Yep. You can't see the listen. You can't see the weenus, and it can't be. If you see the weenus, it's AO. Period. Can't show the weenus, guys. Otherwise, it's not mature anymore. Like, we can suggest it, but we can't go as far as what we did here. Okay, it's all good.
I think it's the game that was like the closest to AO of any N64 game, though.
I'm not gonna lie,
Probably.
that is true. That is true.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had to edit it out so it became M, because that's what happens for a lot of games that almost get an AO rating. They just go back and they edit things so it can be an M, because a lot of stores won't sell it AO.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's funny that we're talking about ratings and stuff, because this actually kind of goes back to the whole analogy that Rare back in the 90s was the Pixar for Nintendo, because I am utterly convinced that a number of Pixar films, if Pixar was 100% their own studio, would actually be PG-13.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the Incredibles. So funny thing, though, on that, The Incredibles, amazing movies, both of them PG. The Incredibles game for GameCube and PlayStation 2 was T.
Yeah, that'll do it. Mostly for violence, though.
Mostly for violence, but let's face it, there's some story elements that if they had watch the deleted scenes sometime, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But it cracks me up that, again, old Rare had that magic and that charm that let them slip this in, and they're like, let's dial it back a bit.
Oh, for anyone wondering what AO is, adult only. Adult only rating. It's very rare that you'll get that.
The secret rating that you have to unlock by being especially bad at the game.
Hey, do you want to know the funny thing about this? When you think about it, the 90s version of Everyone was Kids Allowed. The KA rating. You remember that?
Hey, KA, hell yeah.
Y'all remember
it wasn't
KA?
it wasn't Kids Allowed, though. It was Kid to Adult.
Kid to Adult.
Yeah.
Kid to Adult, so KA was the precursor to E.
Yep. Even though we still had E when KA was around as well. God, I miss KA. Just a little bit.
It was KA, then T, then M.
Yeah.
Who misses KA just a little bit? Just I remember that. I still have cartridges in my collection that still have that KA rating.
Oh, same, absolute same.
Yeah, same.
Absolutely important situation there. And I broke my back. There we go. Okay, so along with talking about these games and also looking into it, let's get a few questions from our lovely chat, which we're going to start with one of the questions that were brought in for the first thing, which was, oh, here's a tough question for you guys. No worries if you don't want to bring this up, but if you were to choose, which one is better, aquatic ambience or dire docks? Let me put the question up for us for debate so that way we have it. Boom. So, aquatic ambience or dire docks from Super Mario 64?
Aquatic ambience.
Aquatic ambience. Dire docks is it's nostalgic, and it's like, what's the word? It's very iconic. That's the word. Yeah. It's iconic. It's definitely, I love them both, but I'd much rather listen to aquatic ambience over dire docks.
I love both, and for those who don't know, regardless of being a music lover, I'm also a musician, so that's part of that other ear I'm listening for in this. And I love both of them so much. And even though Koji Kondo is my preferred composer to David Wise, I do prefer aquatic ambience. It's got both that feeling of mystery as well as that just calm beauty of underwater, and it works both for the hazards that the Kongs are swimming through, as well as, wow, look at these gorgeous graphics. I could listen to either for hours on end. I have listened to either for hours on end. I love remixes of both of them. It's like, for me, it's like, if you're going to offer me a steak or a cheeseburger, I love them both, but I have a slight preference for the steak. In this case, aquatic ambience.
Yep.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I've like had even remixes of aquatic ambience on like my like MP3 player back when that was a thing. Like, I didn't do that for Dire Docks. It's a great song, but it's not something I casually listen to.
Yeah, like legitimately, aquatic ambience and Sticker Brush Symphony will always like ring in my ears. But I'm not gonna lie, I do have some preference over lo-fi Dire Docks, just a little bit, because when it's remixed perfectly well, it hits the beat just right. You're just spicy.
After the stream, I'll have to share with you guys one of my favorite Dire Docks remixes.
I have another question. This one's from Marzi. I have a question if you're taking them. What game or level gave you the hardest time, like you'd grown to try and beat it? I'm going to answer this one specifically as well. Banjo-Kazooie, Rusty Bucket Bay. Through that level.
Rusty Bucket Bay.
Exactly. Listen, for anyone who was watching my Banjo-Kazooie stream a while back, y'all know it took me 4 streams to get through that level, right?
On NSO, I restore pointed without even a second thought right away. I just like...
Valid.
I was playing on the cartridge.
Not doing this again. Yep, no, I played on the cartridge originally too.
For me, the one to answer the question about the one that gave me the hardest time, Bramble Scramble, Donkey Kong Country 2. That's the second Sticker Brush Symphony Bramble level. The one where you have to fly around with squawks or do the platform, and you're not in as many barrels.
I used the rewind function the heck out of that level.
And for anyone who missed it, we were talking about this earlier. Sticker Brush Symphony, again, a beautiful, beautiful song. That song actually gave me like trepidation as a kid hearing it sometimes because thank you, Hito. Yeah, this gorgeous song right here. I love this song. It took me until I got older, especially with the Smash Brothers remixes, to like really love this song, because I'd listen to my old soundtrack and just like, and then Sticker was like, skip, because it reminded me of all the trials I had in the level. And Bramble Scramble was especially tough because Bramble Blast before it already gave me a hard time. So yeah, Bramble Scramble.
Anytime you hear Sticker Brush Symphony, I have to. There you go. It's a good song. I don't blame you.
It's an amazing song, and I really love like the Smash Brothers remix of it. But it's so beautiful, and I'm happy that I've been able to push past that previous challenge as a kid and appreciate this amazing music.
Yes.
Okay, well, for my pick, I actually want to pick specifically Canary Mary and Banjo-Tooie. God.
I know what you're talking about.
Like, I don't think there's a thing I dread more replaying a game than when I have to do Canary Mary. And I don't think like anything like restore points can ever fix that.
I'll keep that in mind once I get to that game.
There. God.
Do we have any other questions that we can now, mind you, we'll still be taking questions, all in all. If you have any questions, just keep dropping them in the chat. We're going to go to the next part, the meat of the stream as well. Some of the meat right here. We were talking about burgers and steaks, and right now you got me a little hungry, man, so just damn.
Oh, see, now I'm sad because I have my prosciutto over in the fridge.
Well, hey, I like my steaks medium rare.
Oh, that is my second favorite. My favorite is rare.
I mean, it's right there. See? Right there. We go.
Yes.
Even...
Oh, hey!
Hey! Hey!
I know this thing.
All right. We did this last... Well, Mantle, you did this last time with Legend of Zelda, and Shad, you're joining in the craziness today. We are doing a tier list of Rareware games.
Okay.
So, whatchamacallit? Oh, we got a really good answer for the question, too, which was for the Game Boy games. DKR2 Adventure. Where is my thing? There we go. But the Silver Coin Challenges in DKR Adventures 2. That was actually really... That was difficult, too, in itself. Like, I still remember it to this day. And I'm still, to this day, like, having those flashbacks in my brain where it's like, oh, no, I did this as a child. Don't you... Okay, fair question for both of you. Don't you hate it when you were able to do something so easily in a video game as a child, but then you play it as an adult, and because you're plagued by anxiety and fear, because you know how games are now, you just do really poorly at it now?
It happens sometimes. Yeah, sorry, go on, Chad. After you.
It's not even like just anxiety. I think in some, like, I think I've just grown weak from games being less punishing and having ways around things. Not to mention, I get it especially with DDR, which I'm just not out of shape. I'm just more out of shape than I was as a kid. Like, but
I've been pretty fortunate. I've not had that happen to me as much. Like, there's the occasional time, but then I realize, wait, I'm just out of practice with this type of control. But then I sit there and then it comes back to me. I think like one of my best memories for that is one of my favorite games of all time and favorite series of all time is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. And the NES game is legit one of my favorite games ever. And one of the last times I was home, my dad had it popped up on one of his modded emulator systems, and I blows through the level like nothing, and he just goes, all these years later, and you can still do that. I just grinned at him.
I mean, that's one game. There's one game that I'm still like good at, regardless of how long it's been, and it's still going to be Custom Robo, or it's going to be like Goof Troop. Especially if I have a partner, I can guide them through Goof Troop as a co-op game. Me and Waffles played that game actually on our first date. Goof Troop was a really fun SNES game. Like, one of our first real dates, it was just us playing Goof Troop.
That's awesome.
It's an amazing memory to this day. I still hold very dear. I enjoy Goof Troop to this day because now it's like, hey, this is the game that kind of, you know, cemented your relationship a little bit because you work together as a team.
I have a lot of fond memories of Goof Troop. I used to play it with my dad when I was a small child, and I'm going to be playing it with Shal at some point in the future on stream.
Goof Troop was one of those shows that while I enjoyed, I didn't enjoy nearly as much as the other Disney Afternoon stuff, so I never actually got the game, but I was familiar with it through replays as well as magazines and stuff, because to me, I love a goofy movie, and even more an extremely goofy movie, loved them. The show was like, it's okay, so I didn't get the game, but I know that it had some really awesome elements to it. But no, for me, I find one thing with that you're playing through the games that you did as a kid and did great, and you get frustrated. Another thing that all three of us, I feel, can recognize, for me, I find it's easier if I'm off stream.
Yeah, that
definitely.
Listen, do you know how many good moments you pull off stream and you're like, I wish I had that I wish I had that validation of proof that I did it.
You know,
it's the pressure.
You know, sometimes I do, and then other times I'm like, I've done this. I don't need to prove anything. And there are a couple things I have been recording offline to like upload elsewhere. Like, I'm actually still finishing a Skyward Sword HD playthrough, which some of you might be like, but Mantle, wait a minute. Zelda's your favorite series. Why haven't you finished Skyward Sword HD? Because Skyward Sword HD dropped 2 days before I got the job offer that moved me over 1,000 miles away.
Yep.
So I had to hard stop it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to move.
That's fair.
But yeah. But yeah, what Shad mentioned about the pressure, that's absolutely a thing with it. For me, it's a combination of the pressure and with the way my brain is wired, sometimes the distraction. But I'm finding that balancing a combination of replays and the new stuff, and the fact that I actually do most of my gaming offline, that helps keep me fresh on it, even if sometimes it's like, oh, I shouldn't take me this many tries. Full disclosure, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, it took me way more tries to beat the final boss than it should have, but I did it.
Yep, that'll do it.
Tropical Freeze does have a very big difficulty spike just for the final boss.
It does, but I still did it, and I did it on stream.
Nice.
The good news is I'm still waiting on us doing 4 swords at some point, because I actually have Parsec ready, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to have Parsec ready. 4 swords is happening. I asked a few people. I'm just waiting just for like any validation from the other person I ask, and if they don't answer, I'm just going to find someone to fill it. Which, Mansell,
let me know if you ever need help.
Mansell, I know you're the big Zelda fan.
Yes.
So, debate, would you want to try out 4 swords on Parsec?
Oh, fuck yes, I would.
If I can, I gotta wait for all these confirmations, but I am looking for more people to do that. If I don't get answers back, I'm just gonna do it anyway, because that's the kind of person I am. I'm like, I'm not gonna stop.
Sure.
Hey, if you have additional slots, that is something I've wanted to do on stream too. So,
Shad, I was gonna ask you if you would want to join us for Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
That's another one I've been looking to do with friends.
Yeah, I'd do that.
That's my favorite Final Fantasy, so yes.
Yes, like that's the one that I'm getting like crazy on, because I already have one person entitled for it. Like right now, like someone already got the call back, and I just needed 2 more. So if you 2 also want to do Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles,
absolutely. I was actually set to do it on a friend's channel, but life stuff ate him alive. So that's kind of like, I'm not even sure if it's back burner at this point. But yeah, no, absolutely. It's my favorite Final Fantasy game. I'm there for it.
Is it the original through Parsec?
Yep, the original through Parsec.
Oh, nice.
Game Boy embroidered and everything.
Nice, yeah. No, that sounds fun to me.
Look at us talking about other games, but then you know
you've
what?
Got it. You have a Selkie ready to go.
Oh, sweet. I always pick a Lility. That's my favorite.
Oh, yes.
Thing.
I can see you as a Lility.
I love being the small person with a giant axe, because you know what? We have anime logic, and we're quirky.
Listen, I'll play anybody other than a Clavat, so I can just be the
Uke.
Uke. Need a Uke.
Sweet.
Now we just need a Clavat. We're perfect.
Can we just talk about the fact that I hate the fact that the female Uke's armor is literally cone T and A, and I'm like, why? I'm like, now for once I can say the quote, you better put those away, you'll poke someone's eye out. Just right there. Like, you better put that away. We're playing like a fun version of it in my Discord, like nonstop. Like, we have a friend that decided to name her, not her, their character. They decided to name their character Soup because of the soup meme. And literally, I found this one TikTok where it was like, what's in your brain? What's in your head? Because I know it's not a brain. They open up, it's like, soup.
That's amazing, and I love it.
So I'm like, we found Soup's origin story. But yes, those are 2 things that are planning on happening at some point in time. If I don't do 4 swords, I'll most likely end up doing the Summer of Caravan, which is the Final Fantasy one. Because I wanted to make it like a summer thing where for June, it's going to be like a Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Caravan, where we're all just like having a good time and like we're going on a journey. Someone may steal our stuff, and you know what? It's okay. It's fine. We'll live with it. So let's start this frickin' tier list. And the first one that I see right now that we're going to hold on. I got to make a special tier for this specifically because it's important that we do this. Not having played. Hold on. Add a row below. Turn this one into the blue one because that's innocent. But this one is going to be deserved. This is going to be the trash tier because there's one game that I already see in this list that needs to go here. If y'all know what I'm seeing and you peep what I'm talking about, but it's going here whether people like it or not.
Okay.
Nuts and Bolts is going in trash. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, that has to go.
How about we rename Trash to X-Bot?
Trash. You know what? That's fine. Yeah, that's point.
X-Bot. Because, I mean, trash, X-Bot, I mean, tomato.
Yeah.
I like bot, like it's bot.
Oh.
B-O-U-G-H.
Yeah.
There you go.
X-Bot.
There you go. It's gone.
Yes, that's what it is. Trash X-Bot.
It goes there, and that's it.
I mean, yes.
Banjo-Kazooie Grunty's Revenge for the Game Boy Advance.
I've not played that one.
I've played it. I played it when I was desperate for another Banjo-Kazooie experience, and it had been a long time, so I ordered it off Amazon.
I give it a solid B.
Yeah, I was gonna say B or C, around there.
Yeah, even though I've not played it, from what I know, reading about it, I would agree with that.
It's Banjo-Kazooie Light.
Yeah,
it's nowhere near as good as the first two, but like, if you need another experience,
this is between Kazooie and Tooie. Actually, funny enough, this is supposed to be afterwards. Like most people were like, "Oh, this had to be done after Tooie." I'm like, no, this is between Kazooie and Tooie.
She was still under the rock.
Yep. GoldenEye 007, baby.
S.
I
haven't played, but I'll let you guys. I played the multiplayer.
If it's not S, no less than A for me.
Actually, here's the thing: you guys get to pick an S game that automatically will hit the S spot regardless. So, Mantle, do you want this to be your S? You gotta really think about it for a sec.
I do, especially because I'm looking at these other games here. You know, honestly, my auto S would probably have to be Perfect Dark, so I would put this one at A then, because while GoldenEye was fantastic, Perfect Dark was just objectively better in every sense of the word.
Yeah,
like I said, in some ways I do. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, it's a B for me. It's an A for you, Shad.
I mean, I don't really want to put a strong opinion into it because it's just not a genre I enjoy.
Especially since I was like leaning more towards S, it's a B for you. I guess we could put it in A. That would make sense.
Yep, it'll definitely go in A.
Like I said, even though to me, objectively, Perfect Dark is just better in so many ways, there are some things I still prefer about GoldenEye, but they're both amazing in their own right.
Definitely. All right, next up is Perfect Dark Zero.
Trash.
I have to agree.
I haven't played it, but I'll take your word.
Let's just say that after the buyout had happened, there were a number of things that even though, because here's the thing, for a lot of people who don't know this about me, I don't mind Microsoft as a company. I never wanted them in the console business. And I disliked them even before they bought Rare for that. But then seeing some of these games coming out, there was always that momentary, oh, maybe I should get a 360. Oh, maybe I should. But then when I'd see what they do to it, and especially reading all the other magazines that weren't Nintendo Power, I was just like, no, that's not, no. It's like expecting really delicious cheese and then finding out that your mom has slipped in soy cheese without telling you.
I don't like soy cheese.
I'm actually speaking from experience, and my mom tried to do that, and I'm a super taster, so that doesn't work, woman.
Yeah, that's fair. Right,
I did have an Xbox 360, though. Part of the reason was because I had a dev kit for the Xbox 360 because my undergrad was in game design, and so our entire college got free dev kits for all the students.
That's cool.
So like I got it so I could program on it, but like I bought some games for it.
That's really cool, Shad. For me, the game that had me super tempted to get it, at least to split a 360 with a friend, was Tales of Vesperia, because I'm a huge Tales of fan. It's my third favorite game series. But my patience paid off because then they released a Japanese-only version on PS3, so I got that. And then my patience paid off further because then we finally got the definitive edition for Switch and PS4.
Same. So I got lucky because there was a special deal. I haven't played Tales of Vesperia yet, which I'm planning on putting that as a T game for me. But here's the cool thing. I got it when it was only $4 on the Switch Online for the definitive edition. We had a special deal on that. It was amazing. All right, next up is Perfect Dark, the original.
S.
That's going to be Mantle's S.
That's my S. I love the Donkey Kong games, but this was just a culmination after the fact.
All right. Next up is Jet Force Gemini.
That's a solid B.
I haven't played it, so...
I agree with
I've been curious.
I agree with it being B. It's also a good game. If you're truly curious, again, J game, possibly, if you vote out of the 3 J games I have. Next up is, I can't read this, but it's something Blast. Blast Corps. There we go. My bad.
Oh yeah. I have not played that.
I haven't played it, but I'm curious. So none of us played it.
Nope. Conker's Bad Fur Day. This is a solid A for me. Listen, they made innuendos very cool. I enjoyed it. I'm only putting it in A, honestly.
It's somebody who hasn't played it. I would still put it in A, just because that's the level of satisfaction I get that it's just a thing that exists in the universe.
Shad, that is the best description of anything. Thank you for that. Yeah, I would. What I know of it, I would put it solidly between A or B. So yeah, A works.
And A goes there. Next up, Mickey's Speedway USA.
MMG Mike loves this game.
Yep.
I haven't played it, so I've seen him play it a little.
I have
not played it either.
I have not played it either. For some reason, I feel like I'm gonna scream. I'm gonna hear a scream about this later, but it's fine. It's okay.
I mean, I'll be fine if he makes us all play it. I'll try it.
He'll be like, hold on. So I heard you didn't play Mickey's Speedway USA. We're gonna have to fix that today. Okay, Baron Blorg, you're going to be playing this right now. You heard me. Just I could feel him. I could feel him with the N64 controller like a ruler in a Catholic church. Just we're gonna get this started today.
Amazing.
You just hear Parsec boot up across the cosmos.
Oh my god! Just we're gonna have this done today. No questions asked. It's done. All right. Next up is Star Fox Adventures. I love this game.
I'm putting it at least an A. I will say no lower than an A.
I agree wholeheartedly.
It's going in A. I just did a gameplay of this 2 months ago. This is fantastic. Did I complain about it being repetitive a little bit? Yes. But guess what? That's also the same with Legend of Zelda games. They also get repetitive every now and then when you have to go back to certain dungeons and shit like that. So,
but it's always fun to revisit now that you've got new stuff.
Exactly. So this is why, again, it goes in A. Also, can we also talk about the one scene that was TNA for Crystal? And I'm like, and this is the day that furries were born.
They existed long before then.
I know, but still, like this is the day that they become more prominent now. Crystal just came out.
Next I'll always love the memes of just no too low. Shopkeeper, better shopkeeper than the merchant in Resident Evil 4.
I mean, true.
It's a thing. It happened. We just have to accept it now. Also, Maple's one comment here. Just, it was a day of awakening for many. It was. Indeed it was. But next up in our tier list is Battletoads the Arcade Edition. Specifically the Arcade Edition.
I specifically haven't played that version. I haven't played any of them, but that one specifically.
Yeah, I've not played it. I've seen it, but I've always had like other arcade games I've been more interested in.
I have. It's a B.
Good to know.
I'm sorry. We go into an arcade and I look for DDR. That's just me.
That's fair. But now we have Battletoads for the SNES. That was an A for me because I got to play it at home.
Valid. I would put it between an A and a B for sure.
I cried, by the way, because motorcycles.
Yes.
Motorcycles. Oh, next up is Grabbed by the Ghoulies. This was an Xbox game.
I haven't played /trash.
Nope, it really is trash for me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. Listen, when I saw the Rareware insignia, I was like, oh, this is going to be a good game. And I'm like, I really want to try and like you, but no.
Good to know.
Next up is, I can't read. Saberwolf for the Game Boy Advance.
I, hilariously enough, have not played because I was so interested in it. Because remember, for Killer Instinct, I am a Saberwolf main, but I know this is actually a completely different thing.
Mm-hmm. I haven't played it.
Yeah, I haven't played it. It sounds cool.
Now, mind you, for everyone here who's like, aren't you guys supposed to be the Rare experts? I'm like, no, that is a lie. The reason why we do this is because of the fact that this is going to inspire many gamers, including our guests here, to play some other games in their streams or off stream regardless.
Absolutely.
This is what we do in the Retrogade. It's to bring back those memories, but also to make them remember, hey, you probably haven't played these games. You should give it a try. Like right now, last week I got Waba here doing GameCube games, and now all of a sudden they're playing Luigi's Mansion in their stream, and also they were watching me play Pikmin for 7 hours straight and beat it in
Even
one
better
sitting.
game. Love Pikmin.
I beat it in one sitting, and 30 minutes before stream started, I'm like, I need to take a nap.
I've beaten all 3 Pikmin games on stream.
Nice.
And off stream.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All 3. There is no other Pikmin game that has ever been released. Just those 3.
Hey!
But I will say this is why we do these lists, just so we can, like, if we haven't played it, I could save or download it, and then I could send you the list, and then you'll just remember, oh, I haven't played this. This is a good idea. This is a good idea. Banjo Pilot.
I have not played that one.
I haven't played it. I was always curious. It looked like a Diddy Kong Racing spiritual successor.
It's a B for me, because nothing beat Diddy Kong Racing for me ever. So, like, to be fair, it's a solid B for me. Banjo Pilot was great for the Game Boy Advance. I will not, like, shit talk it. I loved it. Banjo got his own racing games. It works. Also,
Game Boy Advance was such a busy time with so many games, and there's just so many I wanted to try. But...
Yeah, the Game Boy Advance came out when I was in high school and then in college. So while I was absolutely like living games on it, I was still mostly focused on my GameCube. And there's some games I'll probably wind up picking up at some point, including maybe some of these. It's not yet.
All right. Next up is a Game Boy Advance game I've never heard of. It's called It's Mr. Pants.
I've heard of it. Never played it, but heard of it.
Same.
Adding this to my emulator list to play.
Excellent.
Just curious. It's also made by THQ, by the way. Which, have you guys heard from THQ in a while? Nah.
It's been a hot minute.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is
probably fine.
Next up is Cameo. I think this was also an Xbox exclusive as well.
It was on Xbox, the original Xbox. I haven't played it. It actually was one of the viewings that actually interesting to me.
I haven't played it, and as it was on Xbox, I had no interest.
Fair. Viva Pinata. Yes, this is a fun one.
I haven't played it. I've seen parts of it. I like the charm of it. As I said, I think it was like the last game of Rare's that really had that charm.
I would give it between somewhere a B and a C. It was good.
I'll leave that up to you.
I have not played it. From what I know of it, I would probably give it a solid C, where it's fun, but it was the start. It was the beginning of the end for them.
Yeah. Connect Sports, trash.
Yeah, trash.
Well, not even just trash. I actually want to give it an F. Fair enough. It did get me moving. I want to give it an F. It failed.
It's redundant in a universe that Wii Sports exists. So
it goes there. It was supposed to be better than Wii Sports. Nothing was better than Wii. It failed. It failed horribly at that. Ooh, so this crossover was great. This was the Battletoads and Double Dragon crossover game.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It's a solid B or C for me. I mean, it was fun. It was a little bit ridiculous, but yeah, I'd give it a B.
And then we have Battletoads Battle Wars. Battle Maniacs. I can't read today.
You're fine.
Hold on. But it's time for me to do a reveal. But Hito does wear glasses at times when he can't read. So, there we go. Hito with glasses. This is the rare time you'll see this bear actually putting on his glasses for once.
So it's a rare bear?
Yeah, it's a rare bear moment. But yes, Battletoads, Battle Maniacs. This one I would give a solid A to. This was also another good Super Nintendo game.
Valid.
Let's try it.
Next up, Donkey Kong Country.
Oh, that is either an S or an A for me, an S or an A.
I don't want to use my one S on it, but I would give it an S if I couldn't. Otherwise, I'd give it an A.
Yes.
I'd give it an A, but your two S's also go into it, so it goes into the S.
There we go then.
Okay, but that is not my one S.
My S. No, I'm not using it. Donkey Kong Country 3. I actually do enjoy this one. This is my S tier Donkey Kong Country game. People shit on it a lot because they're like, there's no Diddy or Donkey. No. There's just Kitty and Dixie. I'm like, Kitty was great.
Without using my one S, I'd still vote S.
Right.
Yeah, even though my S has already been used, I'd still put it up there. It is my least favorite of the three, but it is so good.
Yeah.
least
I'd rather-
favorite
I'd
being
have
out
my
of 3 amazing games.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even my least favorite. I can't say that. It's my third favorite of 3, and I still absolutely love it. And it's like, even though I do still prefer the charm and the levels of the first 2, the added elements that they added in it were just so genius. And that this was one of the last games right as the N64 was coming out. Well, SNES games are N64. It's a damn good platformer, and there's some clever stuff that they keep adding to it.
I was just curious if I could animate glare for a second with my lights. I was like, can I do it?
almost.
Darn.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's a good game, and I agree. People shit on it for no reason, and even if I still
People
prefer
don't
the
like
original,
Kitty.
I'll-
It's. I think it's the crying when it's like similar to Yoshi's Island. Some people like, although that's more beloved of a game, some people hate the Mario crying. People don't like the Kitty crying. But
Yeah,
like,
I
but
think
that's
it's part
don't
of
get hit.
I think a bigger reason for it, and I actually had a huge conversation with this with a friend of mine who was finally playing it for the first time last year, wasn't even Kitty. He didn't like some of the graphical changes, and I know a lot of people don't like the designs of the enemies nearly as much. I can get behind them on the enemy design, but I still thought it still had that same charm for a different area, because remember, we're no longer on Donkey Kong Island, we're up in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yep.
Like, to me, it's still awesome. Just people need to remember it's part of a series, so it has to follow, but still be its own thing.
Yep. And even more so on that, let's not forget that most of the enemies in Donkey Kong Country 3 were now mechanical, because we now have a mechanical final boss that's literally, hey, I fuck with machines. That's what's going to be done here. And people forget that. Like, in its running, like, people forget that. And it gets me frustrated, because I'm like, hello, but this is a thing that you're going to have to deal with. Okay? It's a good game, all in all, and for you to, like, shit on it because, oh, it's not really my type, because, you know, mechanical creatures are ick. I'm like, no, that's not a reason. Not a reason to do any of that.
I also find that most people who shit on it haven't completed the game or haven't played enough of it to really give it a fair shot.
Yeah.
It's like,
I do hear the lightning. I do hear the lightning stage get a lot of hate, and I understand that stage is a bit BS.
It's
one stage near the end.
It's clever as hell, though. I mean, yeah, it's tricky, but it is brilliant.
And I think a lot of people seem to think that the lightning is random, and it's not.
Definitely not. All right, next up is the Ikari Warrior series for both of these.
I would give both of those a B.
I would sadly give it a C because of the voice acting. I'm between B or C, so we could put it in B for now. But
that works.
The series as a whole, it's unmemorable to me as much because it's like, yes, I know Rare made this game, but also at the same time, I'm like.
For these are some of those games that I missed when I was younger, but I later collected them because I found them at really good deals at a convention. And then I was like, oh, these are fun.
Next up is Donkey Kong Country 2.
S. It's not my one S, but it's an S. It's an S vote.
It's an absolute S.
Donkey Kong 64.
A.
B.
I love it as much as the original country games, but it has its flaws that I will not pretend don't exist. And
I'm right there with you, Chad.
Yep.
Right there with you.
Next up is Triangle.
Triangle?
I don't know what this is.
I know of it, but I admittedly have not played it yet.
What's the full name of it then, if anything?
I don't know. Maybe it's the prequel to Triangle Strategy
now. No.
I don't know what that is.
I don't either. I haven't played it. Next up is Killer Instinct for the Super Nintendo.
That's an A.
That's an A. Chad? Cobra Triangle.
I haven't played Killer Instinct.
So the game is called Cobra Triangle.
Cobra Triangle. Okay, I was trying to look that up.
Thank you, Chad.
Yeah. I haven't played Killer Instinct. I'm not big on fighting games.
Might be a racer. Okay. Oh, that's fair. Also, we have the Killer Instinct, the one that came out for the recent one that came out for the Xbox Series X.
Trash.
I give it a D. It wasn't too great.
That's generous.
I'm only giving it that because of the fact that it did bring a lot of people back to Killer Instinct again. And that's
I would give it an F just for what they did to Saberwolf, but
I don't blame you. I used to use Saberwolf a lot, but then I always loved Rip Doors, so That's mine. I know the bear streamer's using a lizard. That's not very furry of him today. I mean,
I don't know. We need something in D tier.
Yeah, I suppose.
it did bring. Here's the thing, though. A lot of people hated this series to begin with, but it brought them back to the Super Nintendo and to the N64.
That's a valid point. For that, I'll forgive it enough to let it live in D.
Now the one for the N64.
Oh, God, to me, that's between an S and an A. Honestly, I would hardcore give it an S, but since I've already got my 1S. There we go. Hell yeah.
I'm giving it an S. Conker's Pocket Tail. Now, those of you who don't know, Conker was not always raunchy and disgusting. We had a Game Boy Color game.
He went from E rating to M rating within, I think, the only franchise that's ever done that.
With no T in between.
How did you get from E to M so quickly? I mean, it happened to me in middle school, so, you know, it just happens.
This is what we call a puberty bomb.
On a literal sense.
Yeah, including the bomb, I guess.
Yep. But I would give this a solid... See, what did I say? I'll give this one a B. What did I say? Hold on. Just for featured chat, just to see it. What did I say? I knew what was going to happen. I knew Mike was going to come on here and be like, you never played it? Hold on. So what you're not going to do is tell me you never played Mickey Speedway.
We all saw this coming, so...
You all saw this coming. Like, even Shad was like, I never played. I'm like, Mike's going to come in here.
This... All timelines led to this moment, so, like...
I called it literally 30 minutes ago. Watch Mike come in here. Chad, you too. This will not stand. Oh, my God. See, Mansell, you get to...
Hey, Mike,
112.
I did say I'm willing to try it over, like, Parsec or something. So I have nothing against it, I just haven't played it. I've seen you play it, Mike.
Thank you for the ring.
Raiders.
I forgot. Hold on a second. It switched to me. It's not supposed to do that. You're supposed to just stay here for this. 112 Raid Gaming. Hey, just finished playing Unlimited Mode in Blaster Master Zero. We're talking about Rareware today. We're having fun. I called Mike coming in here with a ruler like a Catholic school teacher as like, you're gonna learn today about the joys of Mickey Speedway USA. It's still a retro-ish platformer. Yep. We're talking about all the Rareware stuff, including Battletoads, Killer Instinct, Banjo-Kazooie, all the Donkey Kong Country stuff. We're talking about all of it today. But thank you so much, 112. Let's shout them out. Mike or Maple, can one of you shout out 112? And we get to see a clip of them just above us, like right here in the control panel. I appreciate Banjo being under B tier. Yep.
It has 30,000.
Oh. We got two clips that... Okay, I should actually...
An HP.
Oh, here we go.
To answer your question.
Yep. Oh, that's Chrono Trigger. Sweet. But yeah, go check out 112. It has 30. But yes, all in all together, we're still talking, and we're just rating the games right now that we played. And some of us haven't played Mickey Speedway USA, and now came in here like crazy. He killed Lavos, and he has like 30,000 HP. That is fair. All right, so to our next game, Diddy Kong Racing.
I mean, I'll give it an S, but I'll be happy with an A.
I mean, same.
This is going an S, honestly.
Damn right it is.
Listen, Diddy Kong Racing, it's going an S. Maple's like bringing it to fruition. Mike is bringing it to fruition.
Maple's got the S. We're all in agreement.
I want to say one of my favorite things is how it handles power-ups compared to other racers. Being able to stack them and knowing what you're getting before you get them.
112's bringing in S tier. Like, it's all going in.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're all in agreement. It's happening. All right, so now, I know Mike is going to have something to say about this, but Sea of Thieves is also made by Rareware.
It is. I haven't played it. I from what I've seen, I don't think it deserves the trash tier.
It doesn't deserve the trash tier. A lot of people do play it.
As much as I would be tempted to, some of my closest friends play it, so I can't be that mean to it.
So are we feeling?
I can't be that nice to it either.
Yeah, that's fair. The toxicity is a real thing that Mike brings up. That we had a lot of toxicity when it comes to this game. I've not played it, but I've seen everyone play. I like what I see.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'd give it a C. Or a D.
Yeah, I was gonna say based off what I've seen, I'd give it a C. I'd score it there because I'd knock it down a couple letters just because the toxicity, and Rare really should have done something about that.
Definitely. Now
I feel it had a lot more
fun.
content. Yeah, the gameplay looks fun, and even though I have no interest in touching it, I feel that it's a unique enough world with awesome enough mechanics and everything. And honestly, I feel that if they had made it more of an offline enjoyable experience as well as the online, then it would absolutely have climbed ranks.
Definitely. Oh man, Diddy Kong Racing is one of the best racing games ever. S tier. Yep. This is true. These are truths that you're speaking. These are very important truths you are speaking. And Mantle, exactly the way I feel, the same way that Mike says. No, because Mike was an avid Sea of Thieves player along with a few other of our friends, and because of the toxicity, I think at that point they just don't want it anymore.
Absolutely valid. And I hate when that happens to games.
Best comments of the day. Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves.
Exactly, Maple. Love it.
Oh, so 112 is wondering where we put the Donkey Kong Country 2 and Battletoads. Donkey Kong Country 2
where
is
they
in
belong.
S. Where they belong, in S and A. They stay there. That's it. I only put A for the frustration of the motorcycle levels, and that's it. That's the only reason why. I think that's the only time. Yes, all three S tier. Excellent. Yes, we were talking about how people were shitting on Donkey Kong Country 3, but here's the thing. Like, it's a different... Again, we talk about it's a different environment, and also most of the enemies are mechanical based too, because of the fact that we are now going to the mechanized era. This is how this goes. Now.
And I do want to say, since Mantle mentioned 3 being their least favorite out of the trilogy, 3 is in the middle for me. 2 is my favorite. 1 is only slightly beaten out by 3, and that's just kind of one's first game syndrome stuff.
That is absolutely valid, and it's like, even though my favorite is a toss-up between 1 and 2 of the 3, I absolutely understand and agree. Because, like, for me, it's like, it's not even just the whole class thing. I just like some of the level design and some of the features of the first one a bit better, even though I understand that gameplay and feature-wise, the second one is superior in every sense.
If I could make one change to Donkey Kong Country, it would be making the bonus levels more obviously bonus levels, because getting 101% is kind of confusing. If you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. But yeah, it's like, for me, it's a combination of just some of the levels, the areas that you were exploring, regardless of the music, because I mean, the music's all amazing. And also just being able to play as Donkey. But no, it's all there. It's like to me, if I could combine like 1 and 2, it'd be the absolute perfect Donkey Kong game. But they're both incredible in their own way.
Yes. 112, they say, oh yeah, the bonus levels in the bonus level in a bonus level is pretty ridiculous, which they have a point. They have a point. It's literally just a very serious thing that they have a point about that. It's a very
every single time that I've done 100%, I've had to look that up because I always forget that's a thing, and I'm like, why is that a thing?
Yeah, I mean, valid. The main reason I learned it as a kid is because I still have the Nintendo Power Player's Guide for it, but it was just like, wait, what?
All right, guys, we're about to get to the meat. The other part of the meat of Rare. Banjo-Kazooie.
I want S or A. S or A.
S or A.
My S is going towards Banjo-Kazooie if Shad's S is going towards Tui.
Oh, mine is absolutely 1,000% going to Tui. I already was waiting the whole time.
That's
there we go.
Beautiful.
That's how this
very
works.
Very good pick, Shad. I love how we've sandwiched the S's with both mine and yours.
There we go. Just there you go. We're all good. And then mine's like right in the middle. I'm like, okay, there we go. Just beautiful. Spicy. This is a Rareware sandwich that I will enjoy. Okay. We got Perfect Dark just starting it off. It starts cool and mysterious. Then Donkey Kong Countries 1 through 3 is like, yep, these are the essentials. This is the cheese. Then the Killer Instinct for N64 absolutely needs to not be lettuce, but it's also that extra spice that you add in. Diddy Kong Racing.
It's the sauce.
It's the sauce. Diddy Kong Racing, though, That's the surprise element. That's the secret ingredient that goes into it. But then we finish it with some of the meat of Banjo-Kazooie and then close it off with Banjo-Tooie. Just, there you go.
So it's bacon and then the main meat.
There you go. Like, do you want to eat this rare sandwich? Well, you can with our S tier list.
It's a burger that's cooked rare.
There you go.
The best way to cook them.
Yep, there you go. And then finally we have something called, I can't read this because it's cut off.
The N roll?
The N roll.
Snake rattle and roll.
Snake rattle and roll.
Have not played it. I mostly know it thanks to my game genie.
There you go then. It goes there. Banjo-Kazooie is also genre defining S. Yep. It definitely is. Like, collecting Jiggy after Jiggy was my thing, but then Rusty Bucket Bay, again, y'all know how I feel about this. Y'all saw me curse it out.
No, I would be surprised if there's anybody in this wide universe that likes Rusty Bucket Bay. And there's not much I could say that about.
Oh, so 2 questions are being given right now, which, well, first one's a comment, which is from 112. They say, Banjo-Kazooie is also genre defining. S. Yes, it is. B was... I mean, I know people don't like Banjo-Tooie as much. However, the thing is, they changed up the styles, which most people were not a fan of. Because more over Banjo-Kazooie was not really as open, where it was a little bit more linear, and you had like the spots where you need to go. Banjo-Tooie was more like, oh, you've been here, now you have to go here, now you have to go here. It was more ongoing.
One of the reasons that I actually like Tooie even more than Kazooie is I like the worlds being interconnected. I like doing stuff in one world that affects a different world.
There you go.
Even if it has backtracking, I like the huge... It's like it feels like it's open world while it's not open world.
The closest thing that the first game of Banjo-Kazooie did that was like that was the last level, which was Treetop.
Click Clock Woods.
Click Clock Woods, that one.
Which is my favorite level in the first game.
This is why I enjoyed it, though, because that whole level essentially added the seasons. And each part of that level, like, if you did one thing in one level, it's something in the other part of the level.
Yep.
And now they basically made Banjo-Tooie essentially that whole mechanic, which is great.
Yeah. Well said.
MMG Mike asked, out of curiosity, what made you guys decide B for Banjo Pilot? That's where it belongs, but I'm curious. And I like to say that Banjo Pilot was a good handheld game, a good handheld version of Diddy Kong Racing in some regards, except mostly it was planes now, but it did the job justice for a handheld game.
And then I haven't played it, so...
Yeah, and I haven't played it either. All I have is what I've seen of it, and it felt like a spiritual successor to Diddy Kong Racing that I was curious about. But ultimately, it didn't seem interesting enough for me to pick over the 5 billion other Game Boy Advance games that had my interest.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it any better, Shad.
But yes, that's the beauty of these games going off into play. We have our whole tier list, which, do you guys want a copy of this, just so you can have some ideas of games to play now?
Oh, sure.
Sure, yeah.
I will be sending you guys this beautiful tier list, because it's important that we do this.
I'd say so. I mean, I always love filling these out, but this was a especially fun time.
Yeah. That was right. We never got to play it. We never got to play Snake, Rattle, and Roll. I don't know what okay, so how do I put this? I don't know exactly what system Snake, Rattle, and Roll was for.
NES.
NES?
I think so, yeah. Let me triple check.
It looks like it does look like an NES cover, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Zoomed it's
in.
An NES game. Okay, there you go. So 112
right.
has just answered the question. They've given us the valid answer. It works.
Yeah, like I said, I have not played it myself, but one of my favorite memories of gaming growing up, aside from the games themselves, my dad had actually got me a Game Genie for my NES. Because he's like, oh, man, so you can beat these games. Here, have fun trying different things in them. And so I would always flip through it to see what other games were in there. And Snake, Rattle, and Roll would always come out, especially whenever I was going scrolling towards the S games.
No, we'll definitely do it for you. Yeah, we definitely had a good mix-up here. I do want to play Viva Pinata, though. I've only played the demo. That's why I put it at C. But I really want to give out Viva Pinata a try. Because I do have a 360 that I am going to be planning on using for a few games. I do want to revisit the Gears of War series. The first 3. Not what 4 and 5 happened. The first 3 were great. Spot on. Enjoyed them. 4 and 5? Why?
Yeah. No, I love this whole list, but just looking at S and A just makes me so happy and nostalgic.
And look how, like, at least for the older Rare games, look how weighted towards the top they are. Rare had such high quality.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anything, there's nothing below a B here that's from before they were acquired by Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the lowest anything would just be like Blast Corps, which we just haven't played.
Yeah.
But anything else was after the buyout, and I think it speaks for itself.
The buyout really did put Rareware in the toilet, honestly.
I mean, yeah, like Shadow is often quick to point out to me because she knows how I feel about it. Again, Rare was starting to head that way themselves, at Microsoft just solidified it.
Yep. If only what this makes you think, what would have happened if Nintendo bought Rare? And
I
gave
think
them
that
the Game Freak treatment.
I think that they still would have been great, but maybe not quite as great as they had been, since they had that little bit of their own downfall. So I think it would have been a bit of a character redemption arc. Mm-hmm. But it's like kind of like, let's say you're watching a show and the second season was good, but not as good as the first season. It was like the first season's incredible, second season kind of falters, third season picks back up, but it's still not quite as good as the first season.
So basically, Legend of Korra.
I think that we'd still be looking at these games that we put near the top is the golden era of Rare, and instead of being mostly S and A ranked games, it'd probably be mostly B and C ranked games.
Yep.
But I'd be fine with that.
I think that, yeah, if any of these had come out from that, I mean, I agree with you. I think it would still be just we'd still have that golden era, and just anything from trash tier or whatever would just be higher up. But I honestly agree with MMG Mike's assessment there. And it's, again, maybe not the same golden era, because let's face it, while we all enjoy nostalgia, we know not to be blinded by nostalgia goggles.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just because I think because I've thought about it often myself, but never once am I like, oh, they're just going to be the exact same. No, because they were already changing.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that, I mean, Microsoft's being a bit more friendly with Nintendo now. We might see Banjo again. Mm-hmm. The question is, will it be good? Like, it's hard to even tell if they give us a Banjo game. Like, what to even expect, especially after Nuts and Bolts. Like,
I think with Phil Spencer's involvement, it's entirely likely. But especially, I've discussed this elsewhere. I know every single one of us is aware of Microsoft's buyout of Bethesda, and I'm just, as we all know, history, those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it. And I know everyone's like, oh yeah, I'm so excited. And I'm just sitting here like, nope, after what happened to Rare, I can't even say I'm cautious optimistic. I am anxious as hell.
I'm not for big companies acquiring a bunch of smaller companies, like happens with Microsoft, and has happened with several other studios. Microsoft is very notable lately, and it's a bad omen to me. It's you have less competition, and therefore you have less quality.
I agree wholeheartedly. I know that at one time the president of Sony was noted as saying that when Nintendo is like doing really well with the game development, that it's a very healthy environment for all consoles, no matter who the developers are, because of just what pioneers they are and how creative and innovative they are. But I just, when the whole Bethesda buyout happened, a couple of my friends were excited because like, oh, now they get more funding and more support, and I'm just, but at what cost?
The competition and the idea of literally anything getting harder for them. Because honestly, here's the thing: we're at our strongest. I don't even mean to say this, especially on Twitch being like a very competitive site on itself, because we're supposed to be all about community as well. But a little competition, a little rivalry also helps out with the idea juices flowing. Because I think
absolutely,
that's literally where it comes down to it. Like, I don't think of anyone, for example, as like my competition. I think more of them as like, hey, this is a rival that's doing something really well, and you know what? I should probably do something like this, but not like this, like what I can do. So, like, I noticed that like I have a lot of friends that do podcasts themselves. I have my podcast, but I decided to make it like once every spring to summer, by the end of summer. That way we have like a seasonal thing, and it looks amazing, and that way I'm not burning myself out on ideas. It took a while for me to come up with that, but it works all the same. That's why this is a really good thing when it comes down to it. Like, competition can be a good thing, especially if it's a healthy competition. And I like the way that you put that out, Mansell, because that's something that most people are afraid to like talk about when it comes to competition, especially on things like games or things on social media. People don't want to talk about competition because at the end of the day they think, oh, but competition's so nasty and disgusting. Like, you're thinking of dirty competition where you're trying to besmirch somebody. We're thinking about healthy competition where we're building each other up in a way that you would never think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really the relationship Nintendo and Rare had back in the day.
For sure. Yeah, and very much so. For me, I'm a very competitive person, but not in a toxic way, in the I want to do better for myself way, and then continue to grow from that. And so I agree wholeheartedly with you on the call competition thing. And it's like, it's not even necessarily about winning or doing better. It's about improving and doing as great as you can, even if you're not like getting grand prize or like winning competitions or whatever. I mean, competition doesn't have to mean just competitions or tournaments or anything. I mean, yeah, it's so much more all encompassing. Like, you can even think of it like, I'm not to reference sports ball or anything. Look at any sports game. How many statistics go into a thing outside of just the score?
A lot, honestly. Like, I like to think of it like this. The competition itself is like seeing the improvement happen in somebody's like anything. That's the more memorable thing when you think about it. Because, for example, I'm going to say this straight out. Like I said, Twitch is a competitive place, especially for streamers as well. I'm bringing up a little streamer mental health in this too. It helps out at the process, but Twitch is made to be competitive with everyone else in some cases. And I like to think that healthy competition helps all of us grow. I started as a trash streamer. I will say that I was trash in some cases, but I also had a little bit of potential, and that potential can always still grow in ways that you never thought. That's why healthy competition is fine. When I hear somebody on Twitter going about like, oh, this is Twitch, it's not a competition, it's supposed to be all about community, I'm like, you're kind of right and you're kind of wrong. Yes, it's about community. We always still want to be at their number one, being community being the most important thing. But competition also helps, at least healthy competition helps us grow.
Agreed. I think at that point it comes, and as you know with me, Hito, I'm an incredibly technical person. I think that while we, the three of us all know what you mean with the competition thing, I think that it's at that point, it's not even necessarily trying to compete, but trying to inspire and also improve. Because I have many friends I've met thanks to this platform who absolutely inspire me in so many things. And then so many friends, even though if I've started after them, I've turned around and inspired them in the same way, whether it's for what game to play or different ideas for channels. And never once am I like, hey, they stole my idea. I'm like, oh my gosh, let's go like Waba. Waba's a good friend of ours. They added the pet commands for their cats on the channel because they saw my pet commands for my two cats. And that was just like, it's one of those things like, please take the ideas, let them grow.
Like, so, that's what it should be at the end of the day. Just we're all growing together. We're literally doing what we can. And you know what? Maybe view counts are not the best or whatever, but we still actually are growing at the end of the day.
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned this because I was having a really good conversation with one of my closest real life friends who is also a streamer on Twitch. He has spent a lot of time setting his channel up. And because life keeps throwing stuff at him, he's had to like really just dial back some of his streams and everything, and that's fine. I shared with him, I'm sure both of y'all are familiar with the website Twitch Tracker, which, let's face it, while numbers, you can't fixate on the numbers, they are still good to look at. I actually went to the point of showing him his page as well as those of a couple of our friends and mine, just to show it's like, hey, look, all four of us have different paths, but look, you still see those graphs going up. And being able to have that perspective and see that he was doing better than he thought he was, he felt so inspired by the next day. And it's like that right there. That's like just healthy competition inspiration. Just like, hey, I'm just going to say this to everyone here, whether you're a streamer or not, you're probably doing better than you think you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
But all in all together, just remember, like, just as how our games and our favorite inspirations have had healthy competition to help us grow, like Rare and Nintendo and PlayStation and Sega, all in together, they all grew from where they began. Some may have gone downhill, some may have gone uphill, but some may have still some golden nuggets of truth that we still like to revisit. And that's always a very important thing for anybody. I think if anything with Rareware, as a company diving down, competition is good for everybody, especially if it's done in a healthy manner.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something we can close off on when it comes down to this conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think collaboration is a better way of competition than aggressive competition.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Like, that's a very important thing that we always want to keep in mind. Like, that's why I do this Retrogade specifically. I like to collaborate with everybody because I know it's not a competition. I know it's a healthy competition. I know I'm like, okay, guys, I'm gonna fuck you guys up on the next stream. I got you. But I say that out of love, though.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not serious about it. I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm gonna fuck you up. But part of me is like, I'm learning from you, and that's a very important thing that I need to learn about. It's kind of like having like two distinct identities where I'm like the fierce competitor, but also I'm like but wait, come back though. I essentially have the mindset of a cat when it comes down to it, where I'm just like, no, don't pet me, get away, scratch is your way, but no, wait, I want cuddles.
You're a tsundere.
Listen, can we say
Hito tsundere confirmed.
I mean, yes, kind of, maybe, perhaps. Listen.
Yes.
Listen,
that's a very tsundere answer.
It's not like I like you or anything.
Yeah, you're right. You're right, Hito. You don't like us. You love us.
There we go. But anyway, any closing thoughts on Rareware?
I want to say that they are a very good lesson on why collaboration is more valuable than acquisition, which is a thing we've seen a lot of acquisition in recent history. And Rare is an example we can see of the long-term effects of it. And like Bethesda, Activision, this is a lesson for them basically. And we need to realize that when there's collaboration, we can see a lot of studios that Nintendo collaborates with, and the results end up being great. But when there's acquisition, which is what Microsoft did there, the long run is really there's no competition anymore. So now it's just quality goes down.
I think we can all say that for a fact that once healthy competition is gone, quality does go down. We have no aspire to be.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly second everything Shad said. And for me, it's like Rare. Again, before I even met either of you, I've loved and enjoyed their classic games, and same as you guys, I lived through their downfall, and it hurt me to see. But at the same time, that doesn't take away from the games they made before that. Rare, as we knew them, still thrives on nostalgia, but not just because we remember it, but because it was genuinely good. And to me, even for some of these games we've not played, we have to admit that every single one of them is an integral part of some classic gaming. They're still influential to this day. They're still fun. They still hold up well, even if not always graphically, at least gameplay they do. And to me, even if they're not my favorite studio, they have absolutely made some of my favorite memories. And even if Rare as we knew them is no more, they're still there in our memories, and they're still there in our retro games.
And we can see that all too well with the NSO N64 announcement when they showed Banjo-Kazooie. That was the part people were excited about.
Everyone cried.
Absolutely.
Everyone cried. I cried. Everyone cried.
Yeah. I was ecstatic for it. I mean, I've got my cartridge over here, but I was ecstatic for it. And even when Banjo was announced in Smash, I hardly ever watch reaction videos because I'm too busy living my own reaction. Literally watching some of the Japanese personalities react to Banjo-Kazooie, just all the exclamations of Bankazu, Bankazu, it gave me so much life. It gave me as much life as watching any of the Nintendo World feeds do. And it's just, this is enjoying video games at its finest.
Where were you when you found out that Banjo was announced? Because guess where I was? I was at work in the bathroom. You know when you're at work and you're just like, you're in the bathroom, like, oh, I got my phone. Hold on, let me check this out. Saw the whole reaction video. I screamed in the bathroom, like with excitement. And one of my workers was like, do you need a hospital? Do you need an ambulance? I'm like, no, Banjo-Kazooie just got announced for Smash. And they're like, wait, what? I'm like, look at it. They started looking at their phone. They're like, holy crap. Like, I literally... I lost my shit both physically and mentally when I saw that. So, you know, it was great.
For me, I was actually at work as well on my lunch because this was a couple of aquariums ago, and I knew that our break room was a dead zone. I was also in the central time zone for this, so E3 had already had its announcement. So I purposely waited until our lunch. Once they had finally uploaded the video, stayed off of social media, and I was outside sitting on a bench outside of the aquarium watching on my phone, and I'm literally just my big announcement for that one was the sequel to Breath of the Wild, which I knew as soon as I saw the little bit of pixels. But still, I was absolutely ecstatic. I didn't quite cry, but I was ecstatic. And 2019 was an amazing E3 Direct.
Definitely was.
Yes, for Banjo, for me, for Smash was the similar to how a lot of people felt for Joker or Steve. Like, it was a character that I just I never, like, it was on my wish list, sure, but I realistically didn't think it was possible. I didn't think there was any possible way Banjo could appear. And so I was in shock for a little while. It took some, like, kind of processing that this is a thing that just happened.
Yeah, he was absolutely one of my top hopeful characters where I knew that it was unlikely, but it was still possible. And as soon as that Jiggy bounces across the floor is just... go on.
I had 4 characters on my wish list going into Smash Ultimate. The first one, K. Rool, was in the base game, and that already blew my mind.
Yeah.
And then out of the other 3, Banjo, Sora, and Geno, like, I thought all 3 of them were literally impossible, and I got 2 of them. And
it's amazing. You gotta get a Geno costume too, though.
Yeah.
I did get the Geno costume.
Yeah, which for me, like, my wishes, my 2 biggest wishes were, I knew that one probably wasn't going to happen, but I still wanted it. My favorite character in the history of anything is Impa from Legend of Zelda, in particular her Ocarina of Time incarnation. Even if they had added a different incarnation, I would have been completely happy. Am I upset that she's not in Smash? No. I still love the game, and there's still a Sheik skin, which is color hinted at her. She's still a trophy or a sticker in other games. And that's all fine and great. She's still a spirit, and that's more than enough. I can still enjoy the game without. And as for ARMS, I'm a huge ARMS fan. I actually cosplay Ninjara. I also cosplay Hyrule Warriors Impa. Thank you. I cosplay Hyrule Warriors Impa. I cosplay Ninjara. And for ARMS, when they were announcing that an ARMS character would be revealed, I had a feeling it might be Min Min, since Springman was already an assist trophy. I really wanted them to do something like the Koopalings, where it was like 8 different characters. I had like 4 ideas going in. It was either going to be Springman, Min Min, 8 different characters, or since there's 16 characters, they would be linked up kind of like Ice Climbers, like you can do in ARMS. And even though Min Min's my second favorite character, I'm ecstatic. And when they announced the Ninjara costume for Mii Brawler, I was like, I'm pleased to announce that I'm picking up Mii Brawler more than ever.
I will say that, and see, this is a mature way to handle when we don't have our characters on Smash. Take notes, Waluigi tuners. We don't send threats to Nintendo because Waluigi's not there.
All the characters I don't even care about, I was excited because I knew people cared about them. And so, like
for example, when Terry Beauregard came out, I know I was excited for like a lot of people who wanted Terry out.
Oh,
I didn't even know who Terry was before that. But then I had friends all excited, and I was like, "Oh, I'm happy. I'm glad people are excited."
I was excited as hell for him too, because it's like not my favorite fighting game series, but I still love it. And to me, the fact that we're getting all these big name characters from different fighting game franchises, Kazuya for crying out loud, is just like, it is the perfect fighting game.
Yeah, and in regards to ARMS, my favorite character is Mechanica. I knew that was very, very unlikely that she'd be represented at all.
I love her so much.
I'm happy the game got any representation. I hope it gets another game.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. ARMS did great, and it's just severely underrated. But no, they're all great characters, and even though Min Min's the one character, dude, we got ARMS in Smash. I'm happy.
All right, guys, let's close off for the night and raid someone awesome. So I'm going to be raiding a Shuri Yuki who is playing Sea of Thieves. So you know what? We go from a rare podcast to a rare game. We're going to send it over to Ashuri today, who is playing some Sea of Thieves and probably also sadly dealing with some of that toxicity in the game because, kind of crappy, but we're going to send the raid over to them because guess what? They're playing a Rareware game, and it fits the theme or something. I don't know. But as always, this is Hito Retrogaming, sending you guys the 8-bit love. Thank you, Mantle. Thank you, Shad, for joining me for this awesome Rareware. Next week, we'll be talking about DreamWorks Animations, and we have our 3 guests for that one, which we have Phoenix Fire, we have Titus TW, and we have Hattas joining me in for some of that awesome stuff. All right, so let's stay on for the raid just a little bit to give them all that great love, and let's give love to Ashura Yuki. As always, we're going to... What? I messed up the name. I messed up the name.
Thank you for having us, Hito. This has been a blast.
Yeah, this is always...
Thank you so much.
It's always a blast to have you guys on stream. Like I said before, like I like to have... Why do I keep putting Yuki? Jesus. Is it right this time? Is it going to show the raid? There we go. That's what I like to see, the good stuff. Anyway, let's give out this highly regarded 8-bit love message that we usually do, because, you know, it's very coveted today. And as always, Mansell, Shad, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me for this podcast. And let's give some of that love to Ashura Yuki, just so we can, like, outclass the dumbness that is the toxicness of, you know, I forgot my words. It's fine. But you get what I'm saying. We got this. As always, this is Hito Retrogaming sending you guys the 8-bit love. Laters.